My name is Rina Kane, 32 years old, and I run the family turkey farm in Butterball, North Carolina. That Thursday morning, I was halfway to Raleigh for an industry conference when I realized I'd left my inheritance folder on the desk. I whipped the truck around, tires screeching, and stormed back into the house. The place was dead quiet except for the baby monitor on the kitchen counter still on from watching my nephew last night. I froze the second I heard Dad's voice crackle through it from their bedroom upstairs. Sign it like this, and the bank won't notice. 2 million wired by Monday, gambling debt gone. Lana gets her 50 grand to keep quiet. Mom's whisper cut in shaky. But Rina, she's in Raleigh all week. We move fast. My pulse hammered so hard I thought the walls would shake. I hit record on my phone, heart slamming against my ribs. Whatever I did next made them panic like I'd never seen. If this hook just slammed the brakes on your day, smash like and subscribe. Full chaos drops in 30 seconds. That morning replayed in my head the whole drive to the motel. Dad Quinn Kane stood at the stove flipping pancakes, the kind he drowned in homemade maple syrup from the trees out back. Mom Sienna Kane poured black coffee into chipped mugs, humming an old country tune while the aroma filled the kitchen. Lana Kane, my little brother, shuffled in around 10, hair a mess, grabbing a stack without a word before collapsing into his chair. 10 years earlier, after Grandpa dropped from a stroke in the feed barn, Quinn pulled me aside and said the farm was our blood. He meant every word back then. He started teaching me to pick turkey breeds when I was 12, showing how to spot the broad-breasted whites that fetched top dollar at auction. Mom sat at the sewing machine nights, stitching logos onto every employee shirt, Kane Turkey Farm in bold red thread across the chest. Lana cracked jokes during dinner, calling me the future boss while he planned to coast on leftovers. The whole table erupted in laughter, plates clinking, nobody imagining a crack in the foundation. Daily routine kicked off before sunrise. I rolled out at 5 to check barn thermostats, making sure the heat lamps held steady at 95 degrees for the poults. By 7, the first truck loaded 200 birds headed to local restaurants, drivers signing manifests under the yard light. 9 o'clock brought the staff meeting in the equipment shed, 10 hands circling up, while I handed out route sheets and feed schedules. Quinn joined, sometimes leaning against the tractor, nodding approval when numbers looked strong. Thanksgiving season ramped everything into overdrive. We processed extra flocks, packaged breasts for grocery chains, and prepped the annual barn party the weekend before the holiday. 60 neighbors crammed inside strings of bulbs overhead, 10 whole turkeys roasting on spits while smoke curled through the rafters. Quinn took the mic every year, spinning stories about Grandpa starting with 50 birds and a loan from the co-op. Folks clapped, kids chased each other between hay bales, and Mom passed slices of pecan pie like it was Christmas. Last year, the books closed 15% higher than the year before. I printed the report, slid it across the dinner table, and Quinn scanned the columns before breaking into a grin. He ruffled my hair the way he did when I aced algebra and said his girl ran the show better than he ever could. Mom squeezed my hand under the table, eyes shining proud in that quiet way she saved for milestones. Lana raised his orange juice in a mock toast, claiming credit for eating the profits. Even the off-season carried rhythm. Spring meant ordering poults from the hatchery in Greensboro. Summer brought mowing the back 40 to keep weeds down. Fall signaled harvest fairs where we sold smoked sausage to tourists. Quinn handled equipment maintenance, greasing augers and patching roofs before storms rolled in from the coast. Mom kept the office ledger, balancing invoices against feed bills, always rounding down employee hours to give a little extra in paychecks. Lana pitched in when he felt like it, mostly hauling shavings or pressure washing pens, then disappeared to game online until the next chore. Community ties ran deep. The Butterball co-op shared vet services, and we traded labor during peak weeks. Neighbors dropped casseroles when Grandpa passed, showed up with chainsaws after Hurricane Matthew tore through fences. Quinn repaid every favor, lending the flatbed for hay rides or donating birds to the church supper. Mom organized the 4-H kids' poultry project, teaching them to candle eggs under her desk lamp. Lana charmed the judges at the county fair, winning blue ribbons for showmanship he never practiced. Bank statements arrived quarterly, and I reviewed them line by line. Revenue climbed, steady expenses tracked predictable fuel feed utilities. Quinn asked for printouts, sometimes studying margins over coffee, suggesting we expand the smoker capacity for mail-order sales. Mom clipped coupons for bulk grain, negotiated better rates with the renderer. Lana floated ideas about branded merch hoodies with the farm logo but never followed through. Holiday prep started in October. We hung the big sign out front, "Fresh turkeys order now," and took deposits for Christmas birds. The barn got a fresh coat of whitewash, picnic tables dragged and propane heaters tested. Quinn rehearsed his speech, adding new anecdotes about the year the flock escaped, and marched down Main Street. Mom baked test pies, adjusting crust ratios until the filling set perfect. Lana handled the playlist, mixing classic rock with whatever Instagram reels blew up that week. Looking back, every detail fit the picture of a tight operation built on trust. Employees stayed years, customers pre-booked seasons ahead, the co-op board invited me to speak at conferences. Quinn bragged to suppliers that his daughter turned dirt and feathers into gold. Mom framed the profit graph on the office wall right next to Grandpa's first sale receipt. Lana posted farm selfies tagging the account until followers hit 5 figures. The night before the conference, we ate leftover chili around the table. Quinn raised his glass of sweet tea and toasted another record year. Mom smiled soft. Lana scrolled his phone but looked up long enough to nod. I believed we were unbreakable, 3 generations under one roof, one mission. The farm wasn't just land and livestock. It was proof we belonged together. I barely made it out the door without collapsing. The baby monitor sat on the hallway table, its green light blinking like it knew every secret. I pressed my back against the wall outside their bedroom, breath shallow, and let the voices spill out clear as daylight. Dad laid it out first, voice low but steady. Downloaded the signature app last night, printed the forms, forged your name, clean bank meeting next week. Seals it. Mom hesitated, her words trembling through the speaker. The trust name's Rina, sole heir. How do we bypass that? Dad cut in quick. Outside lawyer handles the override for 50 grand cash, no questions. He kept going, mapping every step. Lana already signed off, gets his 50,000 final tuition chunk and stays quiet. Mom's sob cracked the air. What if Rina finds out? Dad brushed it off. She's gone to Raleigh, money hits the account before she drives back. I hit record on my phone, fingers numb, 3 full minutes of betrayal captured in digital silence. My knees buckled, but I locked them straight, refusing to make a sound that would alert them inside. The monitor picked up the rustle of papers, Dad sliding documents into a folder, Mom pacing the creaky floorboard she always complained about. He detailed the timeline next. Transfer initiates. Friday clears. Monday debt, wiped, new accounts offshore by Tuesday. Mom whispered doubts about the lawyer's reliability, and Dad reassured her with names of contacts he'd used for smaller deals years ago. Lana's role came up again, Dad reminding her the kid needed the payout to finish his degree, without loans piling higher. I leaned closer, ear, almost touching the device, catching every nuance. Dad described scanning my old signature from holiday cards, feeding it into the software, practicing loops, until the match looked flawless under magnification. Mom asked about witnesses, and he explained the notary owed him from a land swap back in the 90s. Their plan hinged on speed strike while I attended panels and mixers far from Butterball. The conversation shifted to contingencies. If the bank flagged anything, Dad had a backup story about me authorizing remotely due to conference overload. Mom fretted over email trails, and he promised to route everything through a burner account set up months earlier. Lana would provide an alibi if needed, claiming he handled paperwork while I traveled. I stored the file, labeled it Evidence 1, and slipped downstairs on silent feet. The office door clicked shut behind me, folders snatched from the desk in one motion. I dialed out loud enough for them to hear through the walls. Just checked into the hotel. Traffic was brutal, but I'm settled. Dad's muffled acknowledgement floated down satisfied. Truck keys in hand, I backed out the driveway. Slow headlights off until the curve hid me from view. The recording played on loop in my mind, each word carving deeper. I pulled over 2 miles down the county road, hands shaking on the wheel, and forwarded the audio to a cloud drive only I accessed. No turning back now, the farm's future balanced on what came next. By the time I hit the interstate, strategy formed. Mira Mitchell, my college roommate turned forensic accountant, topped the call list. She picked up on the second ring, voice groggy from night shifts. I spilled the basics without names, just enough to hook her help. She agreed to pull bank logs first thing, no questions until we met. Mr. Lane, the family attorney for 2 decades, got the next text, urgent consult tomorrow, trust integrity at stake. He replied instantly, promising to clear his morning docket. The plan solidified mile by mile, gather proof, freeze assets, confront when ironclad. I merged onto the ramp toward Raleigh, but exit signs blurred through building rage. The monitor's static echoed in my ears long after the signal faded. Dad's calm calculations, Mom's reluctant compliance, Lana's greedy silence, they scripted my ruin while I packed for a fake trip. Fuel gauge dipped low, so I stopped at a 24-hour station, filled the tank, and grabbed energy drinks to stay sharp. Receipt timestamped the detour, another layer of alibi if they checked. Phone buzzed with Mom's text, safe travels, love you, knife twist in real time. Back on the road, I outlined steps aloud to the empty cab. Step 1, secure motel under Mira's name, pay cash. Step 2, remote access farm cameras installed after last year's theft. Step 3, cross-reference every transaction Dad mentioned. The drive stretched ahead, but purpose fueled me now. Raleigh lights appeared on the horizon, motel neon flickering welcome. I parked in the shadows, engine off, and replayed the recording once more. Every inflection confirmed intent, sell the land, pocket millions, leave me with nothing. Sleep could wait. Justice started tonight. The motel key scraped in the lock at noon. I paid cash for 2 nights under Mira's name, slid the clerk an extra $20 to skip the ID check, and hauled my duffel to room 12 at the back. Door bolted, curtains drawn, I set up on the wobbly table, laptop, charger, burner phone, bought at the gas station. 3 o'clock sharp, I dialed Mira. I need family bank logs pulled urgent. She didn't miss a beat. Give me 30 to breach the firm portal files by 8. I hung up, paced the carpet worn thin by years of transience, and logged into the farm security app installed after 50 birds vanished last spring. Cameras covered every angle, 4 in the main barn, 2 on the feed shed, 1 overlooking the office trailer. I rewound to 6 that evening and watched Dad march in with his laptop case, printer humming under the work light. He spread blank forms on the workbench, connected a portable scanner, and fed in samples of my old checks from the safe. Mom hovered at the barn door, glancing over her shoulder toward the house, arms crossed tight. Dad adjusted the brightness on his screen, overlaid my signature from a scanned deposit slip, and printed 3 copies. He practiced the pen stroke twice on scrap paper before committing to the official transfer request, my name looping perfect across the line marked heir authorization. Lana rolled up after dark in his beat-up pickup, headlights cutting through dust. Dad met him halfway, handed over a thick envelope, and they spoke low near the grain silo. Lana tucked the packet inside his jacket, nodded once, and peeled out without entering the house. Mom finally stepped inside the barn, closed the sliding door, and helped Dad collate the stack into a manila folder labeled Urgent Sale Docs. I screenshot every frame, time-stamped high-res, Dad aligning the forged page under the desk lamp. Mom initialing the witness box, Lana pocketing cash. The USB drive swallowed the images one by one, encrypted with a password only I knew. Storage full. I ejected the drive and slipped it into a sock at the bottom of my bag. Mira's email pinged at 7:45, encrypted attachment, subject line clean. I downloaded on the motel Wi-Fi, heart racing as statements loaded. Joint account showed recent withdrawals matching Dad's gambling patterns, plus a new savings opened in Mom's maiden name. Lana's student loan portal mirrored the envelope amount exactly. Camera feed stayed live. Dad carried the folder to the house, Mom trailing with a flashlight. They disappeared inside lights flicking on in the kitchen window. I zoomed the office cam desk drawer, left ajar, printer still warm. Another screenshot captured the serial number on the device, proof it produced the fakes. Room service knocked with the sandwich I ordered for cover. I paid 8.5 and kept watching. Lana returned near midnight, slipped through the side gate and met Dad on the porch. Quick exchange, Dad passing a second thinner envelope, and Lana drove off again. Mom watched from the doorway, wringing a dish towel. I labeled folders on the laptop, signatures, transfers, envelopes. Each file built the case tighter. Mira texted confirmation, more logs incoming at dawn, including offshore routing numbers Dad queried last month. I replied thumbs up, then switched to the driveway cam. Dad loaded a briefcase into his truck, Mom locking the house behind them. Night deepened, crickets loud through the thin walls. I exported video clips from the app, Dad printing at 6:12, Mom witnessing at 6:18, Lana collecting at 9:47 and 12:03. Timestamps synced across devices, undeniable chain. USB backed up to cloud, then wiped the laptop cache. Sleep never came. I reviewed the sandwich wrapper for grease stains, wiped the table, and rehearsed tomorrow's moves. Mira would cross-check notary records, Mr. Lane draft the freeze order. The motel clock glowed red, 2 a.m., and the barn lights finally went dark back home. I powered down, hid the drive in the Bible drawer, and stared at the ceiling. Every pixel burned behind my eyes. Dad's steady hand, Mom's nervous glance, Lana's greedy grab. The fake conference badge lay on the nightstand, alibi intact. Dawn meant war. Email notification chimed at 2. Mira attached a zip folder labeled overnight audit password, protected with our old dorm code. I unzipped on the laptop, spreadsheets blooming across the screen in neat columns. Top line jumped out, $50,000 wired from Dad's personal checking to Lana's savings memo reading final tuition payment. I cross-referenced the timestamp with camera archives. Lana crept through the side gate at one sharp, hoodie up, meeting Mom under the porch light. Their whispers carried faint on the audio feed. Keep this from your sister. I need the cash now. Mom handed him a bank slip, nodded, and he vanished into the shadows toward his truck. Mira's notes flagged more. Dad opened a fresh business account at a Charlotte branch last month, routing number primed for large deposits, tagged farm sale proceeds. Transaction history showed test transfers of $100 each way, probing limits before the big move. Mom's name appeared as co-signer, her digital approval stamped yesterday afternoon. Memory flashed to Lana cornering me in the office 6 weeks back, asking for 20 grand to flip cryptocurrency. I shut him down cold, citing feed costs and equipment loans. He sulked for days, now the puzzle clicked. Dad promised bigger if he played along. The envelope from earlier matched the wire amount exactly. Mira messaged again. Fraud package complete, forwarding to Mr. Lane at sunrise. I replied thanks, then opened editing software. First layer loaded the baby monitor clip, Dad mapping the forgery app, Mom questioning the trust clause. Second layer synced barn video of him printing the fake signature page under fluorescent glow. Third inserted the bank wire screenshot, Lana's account balance jumping overnight. I trimmed silence, boosted audio clarity, added subtle timestamps in the corner. Transitions faded smooth between sources, building a 5-minute timeline no court could ignore. Export rendered in high-definition file named Master Evidence. USB received the final cut. Then, I uploaded a copy to secure cloud storage accessible only by biometric scan. Camera review continued. Dad emerged from the house at 3, briefcase in hand, loading additional folders into the truck cab. Mom followed with coffee thermos, kissing his cheek before he drove off toward the highway. Lana's vehicle returned briefly at 4, parking behind the shed, unloading boxes labeled personal before leaving again. Mira uncovered deeper trails. Dad's gambling app linked to the same offshore server handling the new account losses totaling 400 grand over 18 months. Mom closed her retirement fund early, penalty fees waived by a teller she knew from church. Lana's tuition portal showed overdue balances cleared hours after the wire hit. I pieced the motive chain. Dad's addiction spiraled after a bad harvest, bets placed on crop futures to recover. Losses snowballed, creditors calling farm equity the only asset left. Mom agreed to the scheme to avoid foreclosure on the family home attached to the land. Lana traded silence for graduation without debt collectors. Editing paused for coffee from the motel machine, bitter but necessary. I reviewed the clip frame by frame, Dad's pen pausing mid-loop. Mom's fingers smudging ink on the witness line, Lana counting bills in his truck light. Every second locked the narrative tighter. Mr. Lane's auto-reply confirmed receipt scheduled for 8, emergency injunction prepped. Mira added forensic seals to the bank files certifying chain of custody. The master cut played seamless on loop, voices overlapping in damning harmony. Dawn crept through the curtains, but exhaustion held off. I backed up the USB to a second drive hidden in the truck glove box. Laptop shut down room. Swept for traces, checkout planned for 6 to beat traffic. The evidence package weighed nothing yet carried everything. Saturday stretched long in the motel. I stayed glued to the laptop, importing the master clip into video software, layering text overlays that read, "Forged signature. Quinn Kane" in bold white across the forgery frame. Transitions smoothed with fade-ins, timestamps pulsing red for emphasis. Audio levels balanced so every word cut clear without distortion. Export finished. I emailed the package to Mr. Lane with a single line. Initiate trust freeze at opening bell tomorrow. Full fraud suit attached. His reply landed within minutes, acknowledged, wheels turning, bank liaison alerted for 9 sharp, Sunday lockout. Camera feed switched to live. Dad and Mom hauled folding tables from the storage shed, arranging them in neat rows inside the barn, string lights draped overhead. They chatted about guest list numbers, debating extra coolers for sodas, laughter echoing as if the world remained perfect. Dad wiped sweat with his sleeve. Mom adjusted tablecloths patterned with tiny turkeys. Lana arrived mid-afternoon, backing his truck to the doors, unloading stacks of plastic chairs. Dad clapped him on the shoulder, slipped another envelope into his hand, and Lana stuffed it deep in his jeans pocket before helping align the grill pits. Mom passed lemonade, all 3 sharing jokes about last year's pie-eating contest winner. I ordered the Bluetooth speaker online, high-wattage, weatherproof, from a Raleigh big box site, scheduled for curbside pickup at dawn. App confirmed order, payment anonymous through prepaid card. The unit promised 200 feet range, plenty to flood the barn from the loft corner. Mr. Lane messaged updates. Account hold executes 9 a.m. Sunday, prior to event start, no withdrawals possible. I screenshotted the confirmation, added it as the final slide bank seal, stamped effective date glaring. Clip runtime hit 5 minutes exact, looped for test play without glitch. Barn prep continued on screen. Dad tested the sound system, microphone feedback squealing until Mom adjusted volume. Lana strung banner letters spelling annual Kane Turkey Bash across the rafters, stapler clicking steady. They sampled marinade batches, Dad basting sample wings over propane flame. I packed the truck quiet, duffel drives, speaker box reserved. Checkout extended, another night, cash clerk unbothered. Room cleaned of prints, trash bagged, surfaces wiped. Drive to pickup point mapped, 20 minutes route avoiding main highways. Sleep claimed 3 hours, flat alarm set for 4:30. Eyes snapped open, body fueled by adrenaline. Speaker collected, box torn open in the parking lot, device charged via cigarette lighter on the drive home. Butterball signs welcomed at 5 sharp, town still dark. Barn lights glowed faint through cracks. I parked behind the equipment shed, slipped inside through the side hatch, and climbed the ladder to the hayloft. Speaker position behind bales paired to phone volume. Max tested with a whisper sound, boomed crystal across empty space. Final rehearsal ran silent. Clip cued, finger hovered over play. Dad's voice would echo first. Mom's hesitation next, Lana's whisper sealing it. Guests due at 10, freeze hit at 9, timing locked. Truck idled outside, escape, ready if needed. Dawn painted the sky, pale roosters stirring in their coops. The barn stood prepped, family oblivious below. 10 o'clock arrived with the first guests. 60 neighbors filed into the barn, smoke from roasting turkeys curling, thick country playlist thumping through the rafters. Dad took the makeshift stage microphone in hand, voice booming gratitude for 50 years of community support to Kane Turkey Farm. Applause rippled, kids darting between legs, plates already piling high. I stepped from the loft stairs, phone-connected, thumb on play. The 5-minute file blasted, Dad detailing the app download, Mom probing trust loopholes, Lana demanding his cut. Voices echoed wall to wall, crystal-sharp timestamps flashing. Conversation died, instant forks frozen mid-air, faces turning toward the speakers hidden in hay. Dad's complexion drained, white microphone slipping from his grip to thud on the platform. Mom collapsed against a table. Sobs, heaving napkin clutched to her mouth. Lana bolted through the side door, boots crunching gravel to his truck engine, roaring away before dust settled. Mr. Lane mounted the stage, documents raised. Trust assets frozen effective 9 this morning, all accounts locked, fraud litigation filed in county court. Murmurs swelled to gasps, phones lifting to record the scene. Neighbors shifted, uncomfortable eyes darting between family members, now strangers. I faced them direct. Effective today, I have no parents, no brother. The farm belongs to me per Grandpa's will, and it stays that way. Dad dropped to his knees on the wooden planks, pleading forgiveness, hands reaching. I turned my back, walked the aisle through parted crowd, no one meeting my gaze. Chaos followed outside. Guests departed in clusters, whispers trailing, tires spinning on the drive. Dad sat slumped against the barn wall, Mom led away by a cousin, Lana's taillights long gone. Mr. Lane coordinated deputies arriving to secure files from the house office, evidence bags filling quick. 3 months later, the divorce finalized, quiet in chambers. Dad and Mom sold the family home to cover $400,000 in gambling debts, downsizing to a 1-bedroom apartment on the edge of town. Court ordered restitution from remaining assets, farm untouched under trust protection. Dad took night shifts at the feed mill, Mom waitressed at the diner, paths never crossing mine. Lana vanished, complete, no forwarding address. College enrollment dropped, phone disconnected. Rumors placed him couch surfing in Charlotte, odd jobs paying rent, but no contact came. His room stayed boxed in the attic, untouched, reminder of choices made. 6 months on, revenue climbed 25% under new protocols. I hired a professional manager from the co-op, implemented direct-to-consumer online sales, expanded smoker lines for nationwide shipping. Staff received bonuses tied to performance, loyalty rewarded tangible. The barn hosted controlled events, only community ties, rebuilt on transparency. The ordeal taught hard, trust earns through actions never assumed by blood. Family crumbles without honesty, but integrity rebuilds stronger. I stood on the porch evenings watching flocks settle, knowing the land endured because I protected it. Thanks for staying through every twist, your time means the world. Drop your thoughts below, ever faced betrayal this close? How did you rebuild? Like, subscribe, share the lesson.